Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, and welcome to the Sri Vidya Temple's online classes in chanting. In today's class, we're going to be learning one of the stutis that occurs in Sri Durga Saptashati. So as you all know, there are 4 stutis that occur in the Saptashati, and this is actually the first one. It's sometimes called as the Tantrokta Ratri Suktam. And it's sometimes called as Brahma Stuti. So Brahma Stuti, because technically Lord Brahma is the one who composes this as a praise of Devi as part of a story that's being told in chapter 1 of the Saptashati. And one of the reasons why it's referred to as Tantrokta Ratri Suktam is because it's actually used as a replacement for the Vedic Ratri Suktam. So in the Vedas and Rig Veda, there is something called Ratri Suktam, discussing Devi in the form of Ratri or night. And it's part of the traditional Parayana Vidhi, or the method of chanting, that you would chant that Vedic Ratri Suktam in the beginning of your recitation, along with the other things like Kilakam, Argala, Devi Kavacham, and so on. But for those who are not aware of how to do the Rigvedic chanting, the Pandits have said that the replacement for that, if anybody else wants to do the Parayanam, is to recite these specific shlokas from chapter 1 as a replacement for the Vedic Ratri Suktam. And so that's why it's come to be known as the Tantrokta Ratri Suktam. Okay, so this is a very, very beautiful prayer that is in the story spoken by Lord Brahma. And it's a very beautiful prayer, essentially asking Divine Mother as Mahamaya, and in the form of Yoga Nidra, the like yogic sleep, to withdraw her forces, or her control of sleep, and to allow Lord Vishnu to wake up. So just to set the scene just a little bit for where this stuti comes in the first chapter of Saptashati, we have 2 people who have come to a lot of harm in their lives, and they're wandering, and they finally arrive at the Rishi, at the ashrama, the forest hermitage of Rishi Sumedasa. And as they're telling him their problems and pains, he starts to speak to them to try to help them to understand how they have come to be in this situation, and also how they can get out of that mental pain and suffering. And so as he does that, he speaks about the nature of Divine Mother, and he tells 3 stories about Divine Mother and how she destroys different kinds of demons. So the first story is the story of the destruction of the demons Madhu and Kairabha. So this is really a very interesting story. So I do recommend that people do a little bit of research and Googling to try to understand what is the inner significance of this story. And I'll also try to post some links of anything interesting that I've found in the Learning WhatsApp group. But essentially, there are some demons that need to be destroyed, but Lord Vishnu is sleeping in his yoga nidra during the long night of Brahma, which is a period of like millions, billions of years. And these demons are harassing Lord Brahma, so he, needing to be saved, needs to wake up Lord Vishnu somehow, but he's in his yoga nidra. So Lord Brahma begins to praise Divine Mother as Mahamaya, or as the Ratri, the Maharatri, asking her to allow Lord Vishnu to wake up so that he can destroy those demons and save him from harm. Okay, so that's the basic scene that's been set. And so if you want to look at the words for this, you just need to go to chapter 1 of your Devi Mahatmyam text, and it starts with shloka number 71. So technically, the stuti of Sri Brahma begins from the 73rd, right after it says Brahmovacha, Brahma says. But it's traditional to begin the chanting from the 71st shloka, which is basically just describing, and then Lord Brahma began to praise the Divine Mother. Okay, so let me turn on my Shruti, and Anupama Amma, if you can repeat the lines. ॐ श्री महागणपतये नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ. Okay, so starting from the 71st shloka. Vishveshwarim jagadhatriim
विश्वेश्वरीं जगद्धात्रीं विश्वेश्वरीं जगद्धात्रीं
Good. Sthiti samharakariणीं
स्थितिसंहारकारिणीं स्थितिसंहारकारिणीं
विश्वेश्वरीं जगद्धात्रीं स्थितिसंहारकारिणीं
विश्वेश्वरीं जगद्धात्रीं स्थितिसंहारकारिणीं विश्वेश्वरीं जगद्धात्रीं स्थितिसंहारकारिणीम्
Good. नित्रां भगवतीं विष्णो
निद्रां भगवतीं विष्णो निद्रां भगवतीं विष्णो
रतुलां तेजसः प्रभुः
रतुलां तेजसः प्रभुः रतुलां तेजसः प्रभुः.
Good. And just to clarify, here in this class, since I'm focusing on the chanting and the pronunciation and not the sort of word by word meaning, I'm breaking up the half lines according to the sounds and not the words. So technically, in the middle of this line, it would be Vishnoho Atulam, which gets joined by Sandhi as Vishnu Ratulam. But just to make it easier in chanting the half lines, I've split it up according to the syllables and the sounds. Okay, so I just wanted to be clear about that. Now I'll do the full line. Nitram Bhagavatim Vishnu Ratulam Tejasaf Prabhuhu
निद्रां भगवतीं विष्णोरतुलां तेजसः प्रभुः निद्रां भगवतीं विष्णोरतुलां तेजसः प्रभुः.
Good. Brahmovacha
ब्रह्मोवाच ब्रह्मोवाच.
Good. And here, if you look at the spelling, you can see that the H occurs before the ma sound, but we're actually pronouncing it as Brahma. That doesn't mean that the spelling is wrong, and it doesn't mean that the pronunciation is wrong. This is a specific rule that's followed by, it's followed under the Krishna Yajurveda. So people who are familiar with that will also use that pronunciation for stotra, Sanskrit in stotras as well. So that's why it's spelled as HM, but we pronounce as MH. Brahmovacha. Okay, just to clarify that. Now the next line. So here's where Lord Brahma actually begins to praise Divine Mother and describe her greatness and her qualities. Tvam swaha, tvam swadha, tvam hi.
Tvam swaha, tvam swadha, tvam hi. Tvam swaha, tvam swadha, tvam hi.
Good. So here in this line and a number of other lines, there's a great deal of holding after dirgha, which actually will feel awkward at first, because it makes the line so much longer, and so that much holding after dirgha will feel a little bit unnatural at first, but there's a lot of it. So swahat tvam at tvam, and then again svadhat tvam, that at tvam, and then later on in the line swarat mika. Okay, and then in the second line again, there will be a lot. So we'll focus on where we have holding after dirgha. So just try to enunciate that a little bit more strongly. Tvam swaha, tvam swadha, tvam hi.
Tvam swaha, tvam swadha, tvam hi. Tvam swaha, tvam swadha, tvam hi.
Good. Vashatkara swaratmika.
Vashatkara swaratmika. Vashatkara swaratmika.
Good. Tvam swaha, tvam swadha, tvam hi vashatkara swaratmika.
Tvam swaha, tvam swadha, tvam hi vashatkara swaratmika. Tvam swaha, tvam swadha, tvam hi vashatkara swaratmika.
Good. Sudha tvamakshare nitye.
Sudha tvamakshare nitye. Sudha tvamakshare nitye.
Tridha matratmika sthita.
Tridha matratmika sthita. Tridha matratmika sthita.
Good. So in this line, we have sudhat, twa, atwa, and then nityet tridha, yet tridha, and then again matrat mika. So two times in one word, matrat, and then again mikas thita, mikas thita. So you can hear that there's quite a bit of holding after dirgha here as well. So now I'll do the full line. Sudha tvamakshare nitye tridha matratmika sthita.
Sudha tvamakshare nitye tridha matratmika sthita. Sudha tvamakshare nitye tridha matratmika sthita.
Good. Okay, now the next line. Ardhamatra sthita nitya.
Ardhamatrat sthita nitya. Ardhamatra sthita nitya.
Yanucharya visheshataha.
Yanucharya visheshataha. Yanucharya visheshataha.
Good. Ardhamatra sthita nitya yanucharya visheshataha.
Ardhamatra sthita nitya. यानुच्चार्या विशेषतः अर्धमात्रा स्थिता नित्या यानुच्चार्या विशेषतः.
Very good. There was just a very tiny pause in the middle of the line that you just want to avoid, but that'll smooth out once you get used to the chanting. Okay, and now the next line. Tvameva sandhya savitri.
त्वमेव सन्ध्या सावित्री त्वमेव सन्ध्या सावित्री
Tvam devi janani para.
त्वं देवी जननी परा त्वं देवी जननी परा.
Good. Just notice the devi ends in the hrasva. Hrasva I, not the dirgha.
Yeah.
I'll just do it one more time. Tvam devi janani para.
त्वं देवी जननी परा त्वं देवी जननी परा.
The first time was closer. Second time again, it was a little more like a dirgha. Okay,
I'll
so
do it
now I'll
one.
do the full
One.
line so you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
hear it in the full line. त्वमेव सन्ध्या सावित्री त्वं देवि जननी परा.
त्वमेव सन्ध्या सावित्री त्वं देवी जननी परा त्वमेव सन्ध्या सावित्री त्वं देवी जननी परा.
That's it. Good. Okay. So one thing that's interesting here is that Lord Brahma begins his stuti by describing Devi and saying, "You are Swaha, you are Swadha, you are the sound of Vashat, and you're the very soul of Swara." Um, so he's describing different aspects of Vedas, Vedic chanting, and also the yagyas and other ceremonies that are done as part of the Vedic tradition. And it's interesting because in the story, uh, one of the things that Madhu and Kaitaba do is they steal the Vedas from Lord Brahma, and so he's not able to create properly. So he's not able to fulfill his divine role as creator because Vedas have been stolen. So he begins his praise by praising Divine Mother and describing her as all these aspects. Like Swaha is what we say when we're offering into the yajna. Swadha is something that we say when offering to the ancestors. Vashat is another sound that is pronounced during yajna. Swaras can be the vowels or the notes that we use specifically for Vedic chanting. And so Sudha Tamakshare, so the nectar in the aksharas, the divine sounds of Sanskrit, Devi is that nectar of those sounds. And then the description of the Tridha Matratmika Stita, the people say the three matras, meaning the three sounds contained within Omkara. So Omkara is like the very source of the Vedas, and Divine Mother is those three sounds within Omkara. So it's interesting that he's beginning with something that she's the very source of Vedas, of the sounds in the Vedas, of she is Omkara Surupini, the source of all the other bija mantras that emanate from Omkara itself. So this is an interesting way for him to begin his praise. Okay, so we'll go on with the 75th shloka. त्वयैतद्धार्यते विश्वम्
त्वयैतद्धार्यते विश्वम् त्वयैतद्धार्यते विश्वम्
त्वयैतत्सृज्यते जगत्
त्वयैतत्सृज्यते जगत् त्वयैतत्सृज्यते जगत्.
त्वयैतद्धार्यते विश्वं त्वयैतत्सृज्यते जगत्
त्वयैतद्धार्यते विश्वं त्वयैतत्सृज्यते जगत् त्वयैतद्धार्यते विश्वं त्वयैतत्सृज्यते जगत्
Good. त्वयैतत्पाल्यते देवि
त्वयैतत्पाल्यते देवि त्वयैतत्पाल्यते देवि
त्वमत्स्यन्ते च सर्वदा
त्वमत्स्यन्ते च सर्वदा त्वमत्स्यन्ते च सर्वदा
त्वयैतत्पाल्यते देवि त्वमत्स्यन्ते च सर्वदा
त्वयैतत्पाल्यते देवि त्वमत्स्यन्ते च सर्वदा त्वयैतत्पाल्यते देवि त्वमत्स्यन्ते च सर्वदा
Good. विसृष्टौ सृष्टिरूपात् त्वम्
विसृष्टौ सृष्टिरूपां त्वम् विसृष्टौ सृष्टिरूपात्वम्
स्थितिरूपा च पालने
स्थितिरूपा च पालने स्थितिरूपा च पालने
विसृष्टौ सृष्टिरूपात् त्वं स्थितिरूपा च पालने
विसृष्टौ सृष्टिरूपात्वं स्थितिरूपा च पालने विसृष्टौ सृष्टिरूपात्वं स्थितिरूपा च पालने
Good. तथा संहृतिरूपान्ते
तथा संहृतिरूपान्ते तथा संहृतिरूपान्ते
जगतोऽस्य जगन्मये
जगतोऽस्य जगन्मये जगतोऽस्य जगन्मये
तथा संहृतिरूपान्ते जगतोऽस्य जगन्मये
तथा संहृतिरूपान्ते जगतोऽस्य जगन्मये तथा संहृतिरूपान्ते जगतोऽस्य जगन्मये
Good. महाविद्या महामाया
महाविद्या महामाया महाविद्या महामाया
महामेधा महास्मृतिः
महामेधा महास्मृतिः महामेधा महास्मृतिः
Good. महाविद्या महामाया महामेधा महास्मृतिः
महाविद्या महामाया महामेधा महास्मृतिः महाविद्या महामाया महामेधा महास्मृतिः
Good. And I was able to hear the holding after Dirgha in Mahasmritihi. Smrut being a conjunct akshara. We have holding after Dirgha, Mahasmritihi. Mahasmritihi. Okay. Now the next line.
महामोहा च भवति
महामोहा च भवति महामोहा च भवति
महादेवी महेश्वरी
महादेवी महेश्वरी महादेवी महेश्वरी
महामोहा च भवति महादेवी महेश्वरी
महामोहा च भवति महादेवी महेश्वरी महामोहा च भवति महादेवी महेश्वरी
Good.
प्रकृतिस्त्वं च सर्वस्य
प्रकृतिस्त्वं च सर्वस्य प्रकृतिस्त्वं च सर्वस्य
गुणत्रयविभाविनी
गुणत्रयविभाविनी गुणत्रयविभाविनी
प्रकृतिस्त्वं च सर्वस्य गुणत्रयविभाविनी
प्रकृतिस्त्वं च सर्वस्य गुणत्रयविभाविनी प्रकृतिस्त्वं च सर्वस्य गुणत्रयविभाविनी
Good.
कालरात्रिर्महारात्रिर्
कालरात्रिर्महारात्रिर् कालरात्रिर्महारात्रिर्
मोहरात्रिश्च दारुणा
मोहरात्रिश्च दारुणा मोहरात्रिश्च दारुणा
कालरात्रिर्महारात्रिर्मोहरात्रिश्च दारुणा
मोहरात्रिश्च दारुणा कालरात्रिर्महारात्रिर्मोहरात्रिश्च दारुणा.
Good. And this line might be the one other reason why this is referred to as a Tantrokta Ratri Suktam, because it's referring to these different Ratris and describing Devi as these different Ratris. And the other interesting thing is that these can be interpreted in different ways. So so much in the stories and the Saptashati can be interpreted in many different ways. And I'm certainly not very knowledgeable about all these things, but it's just interesting to research and see what we can find. Kalaratri refers to like a night of Brahma, which is a period of time, maybe 4 billion years or so. And then if you take a year of those days and nights, and then 100 of those years, which is like the lifetime of one lifetime of Lord Brahma, you get the Maharatri, which is something like, hundreds of trillions of human years. So very inconceivably vast amounts of time. And then Moharatri is like the night of delusion or the night of intense confusion. So this could be referring to, some people define this as the state that we humans are in, which is just a long nightmare of absolute delusion. So this is one way of looking at these Ratris, but there's another way where we take Daruna as the fourth Ratri. So in Devi Upasana or Tantric Upasana, there are considered to be 4 nights in the year that are very, very significant for doing sadhana. And these are outside of the 4 Navaratris that we normally think of as being for worshiping Devi. So Kalaratri, Maharatri, Moharatri, and then Daruna Ratri. Daruna Ratri. So these are 4 nights, and I don't recall exactly how they line up, but one of them is, like, I think Maharatri refers to Mahashivaratri, which we all know about. Moharatri, so one of them is the night of Holi. One of them is the night of Krishna Janmashtami, which is actually coming up, I think, August 16th. And then the other one is the night of, I forget which one, but it's certain nights that are considered as very, very significant for doing mantra japam, parayanam, any other kinds of pujas, and attaining siddhi in those practices and mantra siddhi. So this is another way of thinking about this line. So that's a little bit interesting. And then after referring to Devi as all these different forms of night, which is essentially a time of darkness, a certain kind of darkness, the next line goes into how she is Shrihi, which has the sense of very radiant light and splendor. So in this stuti, there are a lot of areas where sets of opposites are presented, like either darkness and then light, fierceness and then absolute peace and calm. Saumya, very soothing, cooling, and pleasant nature, contrasted with the fierce weapons that she holds in her hands. So there are a lot of these opposites that are being mentioned. And then we're told that Devi is beyond all of these opposites. So the only way to resolve the paradox of saying that she is these sets of opposites is to understand that she's completely beyond and outside of all these opposites, is her real nature, in the sense that she is avang manasa gochara. She's completely beyond my ability to describe her in words or even to conceive of her in my mind. And so this stuti is just some attempt to describe her nature, which is actually beyond description. Okay. All right, so we've completed 78. So let's just do one more shloka.
Tvam Shris Twamishvari Tvam Hris
Tvam Shris Twamishwari Tvam Hris Tvam Shris Twamishwari Tvam Hris
Tvam Buddhirbodhalakshana
Tvam Buddhirbodhalakshana Tvam Buddhirbodhalakshana.
Good.
Tvam Shris Twamishvari Tvam Hris Tvam Buddhirbodhalakshana
Tvam Shris Twamishwari Tvam Hris Tvam Buddhir Bodhalakshana. Tvam Shris Twamishwari Tvam Hris Tvam Buddhir Bodhalakshana.
Good.
Lajja Pushtistatha Tushtis
Lajja Pushtis Tatha Tushtis. Lajja Pushtis Tatha Tushtis.
Tvam Shantih Kshantireva cha
Tvam Shantihi Kshantireva cha. Tvam Shantihi Kshantireva cha.
Good. So in this line, if you're looking in the book done by the GRD Iyer's Gurukul, you'll see Shantihi and then Kshanti in blue. And there's a little bit of like a star and a comma in the text. And that's just to highlight a certain rule of chanting that occurs here, which is something that many people may not be aware of if they haven't studied chanting. in a more formal way. So Shantihi ends in visarga. And then the word kshantihi begins with the conjunct akshara ksha, ksha. So there is a rule of chanting that whenever visarga is followed by ksha specifically, the visarga is pronounced in full, even though it's occurring in the middle of the line. So you may know already that normally we only pronounce visarga in its full form, like ihi or aha or uhu, when it occurs at the very end of a line. And the way that we know it's the end of the line is that we see the danda, the straight vertical line. So in this case, even though visarga is happening in the middle of the line, it still gets pronounced in its full form because specifically it's followed by the sound ksha. So if this word kshantihi were actually kanti, just imagine that it's not ksha, but it's actually ka, then this would be pronounced as shantih kanti, shantih kanti. But because that's a ksha, we have shantihi kshantirevacha, shantihi kshantirevacha. Okay, so hopefully that's clear to everyone. So now let me do the full line.
Lajja pushtistatha tushtistvam shantihi kshantireva cha.
लज्जा पुष्टिस्तथा तुष्टिस्त्वं शान्तिः क्षान्तिरेव च लज्जा पुष्टिस्तथा तुष्टिस्त्वं शान्तिः क्षान्तिरेव च.
Good. Okay. So we have a few more minutes, but there was someone else who had volunteered to repeat the lines. I think that was Surinder Aya. Namaskaram Aya.
Namaskaram.
Okay. So you can repeat the lines after me, starting from 80th shloka.
Khatkini shulini ghora.
Khadgini shulini ghora. Khadgini shulini ghora.
Good. So I heard the Mahaprana ka in Khadgini, but not as much in Ghora. So Ghora, we have the Mahaprana Gho instead of Go. Okay, so you can just pronounce that a little bit more like the Mahaprana. Now I'll do the next part of the line.
Gadini chakrini tatha.
Gadini chakrini tatha. Gadini chakrini tatha.
Good.
Khatkini shulini ghora gadini chakrini tatha.
Khadgini shulini ghora. Gadini chakrini tatha. Khadgini shulini ghora. Gadini chakrini tatha.
Good. Now the next line.
Shankhini chapini barna.
Shankhini chapini vana. Shankhini chapini vana.
Bhushundi parighayudha.
Bhushundi parighayudha. Bhushundi parighayudha.
Shankhini chapini barna bhushundi parighayudha.
Shankhini chapini vana. Bhushundi parighayudha. Shankhini chapini vana. Bhushundi parighayudha.
Good.
Saumya saumyatara shesha.
Saumya सौम्य सौम्यतरातेश सौम्य सौम्यतरातेश
सौम्येभ्यस्त्वति सुन्दरी
सौम्यभ्यस्तविसुन्दरी सौम्यभ्यस्त्वति सुन्दरी
I'll do the full line.
सौम्या सौम्यतरा शेष सौम्येभ्यस्त्वति सुन्दरी
सौम्य सौम्यतराशेष सौम्यभ्यस्तवति सुन्दरी सौम्य सौम्यतरातेश सौम्यभ्यस्त्वति सुन्दरी
Good.
परापराणां परमा
परापराणां परमा परापराणां परमा
त्वमेव परमेश्वरी
त्वमेव परमेश्वरी त्वमेव परमेश्वरी
परापराणां परमा
परा
त्वमेव परमेश्वरी
परापराणां परमा त्वमेव परमेश्वरी परापराणां परमा त्वमेव परमेश्वरी
Good. Okay, so I think I'm going to stop there for tonight. And what I'll do is I'll go to the beginning of the Sufi and recite what we've learned tonight as a review. Okay, and then we can continue next time. Okay, so starting from 71.
विश्वेश्वरीं जगद्धात्रीं स्थितिसंहारकारिणीं निद्रां भगवतीं विष्णोरतुलां तेजसः प्रभुः ब्रह्मोवाच त्वं स्वाहा त्वं स्वधा त्वं हि वषट्
चटकार
Surendaraya, if you
Oh,
can,
sorry.
I'll just mute you. No problem. Okay, there we go. Thank you. All right, I'll start again from Tvam Swaha.
त्वं स्वाहा त्वं स्वधा त्वं हि वषट्कारस्वरात्मिका सुधा त्वमक्षरे नित्ये त्रिधा मात्रात्मिका स्थिता अर्धमात्रा स्थिता नित्या यानुच्चार्या विशेषतः त्वमेव सन्ध्या सावित्री त्वं देवि जननी परा त्वयैतद्धार्यते विश्वं त्वयैतत्सृज्यते जगत् त्वयैतत्पाल्यते देवि त्वमत्स्यन्ते च सर्वदा विसृष्टौ सृष्टिरूपा त्वं स्थितिरूपा च पालने तथा संहृतिरूपान्ते जगतस्य जगन्मये महाविद्या महामाया महामेधा महास्मृतिः महामोहा च भवति महादेवी महेश्वरी प्रकृतिस्त्वं च सर्वस्य गुणत्रयविभाविनी कालरात्रिर्महारात्रिर्मोहरात्रिश्च दारुणा त्वं श्रीस्त्वमीश्वरी त्वं ह्रीस्त्वं बुद्धिर्बोधलक्षणा लज्जा पुष्टिस्तथा तुष्टिस्त्वं शान्तिः क्षान्तिरेव च खड्गिनी शूलिनी घोरा गदिनी चक्रिणी तथा शङ्खिनी चापिनी बाणभुषुण्डि परिघायुधा सौम्या सौम्यतरा शेषसौम्येभ्यस्त्वति सुन्दरी परापराणां परमा त्वमेव परमेश्वरी.
Okay, so that's what we've done so far tonight. I just want to check if there are any questions on what we've already done. Okay, sounds like everyone is all clear. Let me just see one small chat message. Okay, it's just a request for a recording. So sure, we'll talk about how we can do that. So thank you, Amma, for the request. Okay, so I'll stop there for tonight, and then for the next time, we'll finish the Brahma Stuti and maybe practice it once or twice, and then there should be time. We can also go over the Durga Sapta Shloki, which are 7 critical and essential shlokas taken out from the Saptashati. So from the 700 mantras, 7 very important shlokas or divine Devi mantras. Okay, so we'll do that. And I know I'm forgetting something, but I'll remember it next time. Okay, thanks everyone for joining. And we'll post any messages in the Learning WhatsApp group for updates and things. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shri Matre Namaha.